Hi, I'm Kelly from Collaborate. Sam McCue and I are going to talk you through the 4 stages of writing a winning submission. The first stage is plan.
Thanks, Kelly. So I am Sam McCue. I'm the Clear Writing Coach, and I teach people how to write more effectively at work. And one of the things I always recommend to people is don't think that the writing task is this massive, daunting thing and think that you need to allow lots and lots of time to get it done. Instead, you can start small. Start with a baby step. Maybe that's just creating a Word document. Maybe it's checking the grant submission selection criteria to see what evidence you need to gather. But if you start small, start with a baby step, and you'll be well on your way to creating a winning application. A tool that I recommend to many of my clients when they don't know where to start is to wrap the answers to those 3 questions into one single purpose statement. So a purpose statement is almost like a mission statement for your piece of writing. It captures who's going to be reading it, what you're trying to achieve with that piece of writing, and gives a sense of what the content is going to be or what some of the key messages might be. So starting with a purpose statement is a way to make sure that you stay on track as you're drafting your piece of writing.
Next up, step 2 in the process, putting together your content. Sam's going to talk about what to include in your winning submission.
What is actually essential to include in your piece of writing, in your funding submission or award entry or whatever? Really, if it's about your business or your project, you need to think about what are your unique selling points. So, maybe you're great at customer service, but lots of businesses say that they're great at customer service. So what is it that makes your business uniquely good at that thing? And I guess another way to think about this is it's not about having the gold-plated solid gold thing. It's not necessarily that is going to be the winner. Often it's about how well do you tell the story. What's the story that relates to this, to your business or to your service or to your project? So it's how well you tell the story that is going to make all the difference. And that's why it's really important to make sure that when you're thinking about your content, you include all of the things that your reader wants and needs to know, but you don't need to include every single little detail about your business or all of the little hurdles that you overcame to introduce this scheme. Think about what are the unique selling points that I need to convey to the judges or the members of the selection panel to get my really great story across. So a great example of that, I think, is if you are making a choice between, say, the gold-plated toilet, maybe in a castle, and the Outback Dunny. It's not about what's more expensive or what's more modern. It's actually about what has a better story. So let's look at the Outback Dunny has the, maybe some history. Maybe your grandfather built it when he was a young man. You're sitting in the Outback Dunny, you feel the breeze, you're immersed in the wildlife, there's a frog next to you, you can hear the birds. It's actually a much better story than the story that goes with the gold-plated toilet. So your challenge is how do you find those unique selling points of your own business or your own project?
Step 3. This video is about clarity. Sam is going to talk you through how to ensure that the content in your winning submission is clear and concise.
In this video, we're going to talk about how you can convey your important story or your unique selling points in a way that is clear and concise. Now that's super important because no matter who is reading the thing that you're writing, they're almost certainly a very, very busy person. They don't have time to read a whole lot of fluff. So I'm going to talk to you about 3 habits that you can adopt that will make sure that your writing is clear and concise. And the first is very simple. It's cut away the fluff. You don't need to write things like with regard to when you can use words like regarding, because you're not at uni anymore trying to reach that 2,000 word count. So cut away the fluff. The next habit is try to focus on short words like verbs instead of those long words that you might find in a uni assignment. The third habit is to try to use active voice. Now, there is more information online about the difference between active voice and passive voice, but if you can use active voice, you will be more clear and more concise, and your readers will thank you for it. So the 3 habits that I've talked about are essentially habits relating to plain English. So when we're writing funding submissions or other sorts of documents, we sometimes think, oh, I need to sound really smart, I need to sound like a lawyer or a professor. Actually, that's not true. When you're writing for a busy reader, it's really important to use plain English so that your message, your content, your story comes across in the clearest, most effective way. And another thing to watch out for is things like acronyms and jargon that maybe are very meaningful to you, but perhaps not so meaningful for your reader.
Step 4, edit. This is the final stage in the process. Sam is going to talk us through the 3 stages of editing your winning submission.
So now we're going to talk about the stage where we're editing our piece of writing. And that's super important because that's the quality assurance stage. That's when you're going to make sure that your piece of writing truly is going to help you achieve your objectives. It's going to reflect well on you as a professional. It's going to be easy for your reader to read. It's going to be easy for your reader to get the things that you want them to get. A lot of people think that editing is the same as proofreading. Proofreading is part of editing, but the most important part of editing is actually the first part of the process, which is called substantive editing. That's when you look at your draft and you make sure that your content and structure are right. Have you included enough detail? Have you included enough evidence to back up your claims? Have you included unnecessary detail that perhaps you need to just delete? Is it possible to add an attachment that backs up what you're trying to say in your piece of writing? So that's the substantive editing stage. Have you answered the question? Have you got the content right? The second stage of editing is called copy editing, and that's kind of the English teacher stage when you're going through and making sure that everything's grammatically correct, the language is consistent, and so on. So we've got substantive editing, copy editing, and then the final stage is proofreading. And that's when you're making sure that you don't have silly errors like talking about pubic holidays. Don't do that. Proofreading is so important. So work through the editing process and you'll avoid embarrassment and create a much more effective document. The 3 types of editing that I've talked about are distinct stages, and it's not possible to do all 3 at the same time. So I recommend that you run through your document several times to look at it through those different lenses. So of course you do need to allow time for that process. So that's why at the start of these videos we talked about planning your time. Make sure that you plan your document, draft your document, making sure that you've got the right content and that it's clear, and then you've got time at the end for the quality assurance process, the editing process. And if you work through those stages, you will give yourself the best chance of creating an effective document that is going to help you to achieve that objective of winning the award or winning the funding, whatever your objective might be.
So now we've talked you through how to write a winning submission. We hope that we've answered all of your questions, but if you have more, please reach out to your industry development consultant at Tourism NT or visit their industry development webpage for more support and help. Now, good luck. Go and write your winning submissions.